Hi everyone. In this video, we will have a walkthrough about the administrative controls to enable passkeys in Entra ID portal. Now, Microsoft has introduced Syncable passkeys. It is available, however, the administrator has to specifically define the configuration for the end users to be able to use Syncable passkeys. You might be pretty much familiar with this page where we have authentication methods. So to start the configuration, we need to go to passkey section. Now, in the passkey section, you notice there is something called passkey profiles. It is again a public preview feature, but this is where you would be able to define different type of profiles, and based on the profile, wherever it is assigned. So let's say you can assign a profile to all the users, but then you can have a different profile assigned to set of users, and according to the configuration that you have inside that profile, end users will be able to use specific type of passkeys. So to look into further, let's go inside the configure section. Now here you see a default profile. If you click here, a default profile will show you two type of passkeys. You can keep device bound as your default profile. You can just keep synced as your default profile, or you can keep both of them. One thing here that you should be aware is you cannot enforce attestation if you are planning to use synced passkeys. So synced passkeys does not support attestation, which means if you are planning to use sync passkeys for your normal users, I think you should still be okay. However, if you are planning to use passkeys for your critical administrative accounts, you may want to allow them only device bound keys with attestation. So it's totally depends how you want to proceed, but the option exists and you can select based on your requirement. So here, for example, I have selected both the options, right? Device bound and synced. The moment I will check and force attestation, you would notice that sync passkey option will go away, right? Now there is no sync passkey option because it does not support attestation. But since for the default profile, I want both the options to be available, I will uncheck this option for now and keep both these options checked. I'll click on save. Now, I have my default profile ready, which will allow both device bound and syncable passkeys. We will go back to the configuration, again to the profile. Now, this is the default profile. Now, I may have, like I said earlier, critical admin accounts where I only want them to use device bound keys. So what I will do in that case, I will create another profile. Let's say I make it restrictive, sorry. Right. Now I can enforce attestation here. I can also select device bound here. Also, if my company, right, or in my org, I have variety of device bound passkeys. For example, passkeys, can be in Microsoft Authenticator, or I might have passkeys in YubiKeys, or you might have passkeys from different vendors like HID or Fitian. So you can also define here that what specific passkeys do you want to allow or block. So whatever configuration you will have here, based on that, wherever this profile is assigned, that group of users will only be able to use those passkeys. So again, here let's say I do not have any grid right now, so I'm unchecking this option, but you can always configure and then restrict it further. I'm clicking on save. Now I should have one more profile. We go again here, restrictive keys, and then it will only support device bound keys. Now, how do we assign it to the users? So for example, here, all users, they have this default passkey profile, which allow them to use both syncable and device bound keys. For my administrative users, Let me add a group here. So I have a group called admins only. I selected this group, select, and here I will now assign the new profile where I only allowed device bound keys. So I selected this, click on saved. Now anybody who is part of my admin group will only be allowed to use device bound keys, which could be a Microsoft Authenticator key, or it can also be a FIDO2 key. I did not further restricted it based on the vendor type. Like I only want to allow a maybe a, USB-C based NFC key from YubiKey, or maybe a biometric key from some other vendor. If I wanted, I could have done that as well. So there are possibilities for you to enable those options as well. But in general, to allow users to be able to use syncable passkeys, you only need to have a profile where the syncable passkey option is enabled. And once you complete this configuration, anybody who is part of that profile, like for example here all my users are part of it, but a subset of users which are admins will have only limited or device bound keys available. So whatever is more restrictive, so in case you are part of two different profiles, then whatever is the more restrictive will always win. So this is about the configuration. This is very straightforward. There is one more thing I should have mentioned earlier. When you will sign in and come to authentication method for the very first time, you will see this banner here which says opt out for public preview, because I have already opted in. So if you are doing it for the very first time, you will see the option to opt in for public preview. You need to select that, and then this passkey profile option will become available for you as an administrator. And after, like I said, you complete the configuration, your end users can then configure passkeys on their mobile devices or on their laptop in a syncable passkey format, which means they only need to configure it, let's say on an iPhone, and then if they have multiple devices like maybe an iPad or a Mac linked to a same iCloud chain account, then the same passkey will be available across all those devices without user need to configure them specifically on those individual devices. And the same configuration also works for Android password manager. So if your multiple devices are part of the same Google account, then the passkey will also be synced across all the devices. Thank you for watching. I will also be creating the end user experience of configuring syncable passkeys. So please watch the next video. Thank you.